camera here, registered physiotherapist. Today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about ankle sprains and also about what I would consider the most important exercise with regards to rehabbing an ankle sprain. So first of all, the most common form of ankle sprain is when the ligament called your ATFL, it's called your anterior talofibular ligament, which attaches essentially from your fibula, which is this bone on the side here, to your talus, when that one essentially gets injured. And the way that these ankle sprains typically occur is when we roll our ankles. So for example, you might be walking and then you essentially slip, or you're playing a sport of some type, and your foot goes down and inwards and all your weight goes along the ankle essentially. And as a result of that, that particular ligament, which attaches again the fibula to the talus, gets overstretched. And essentially there's different grades of ankle sprain. So a grade 1 would be sort of minimal injury of that particular ligament. A grade 2 is essentially a partial tear of that ligament where half the ligament fibers are completely torn off. And a grade 3 would be considered a complete tear of that ligament. Now typically in terms of the rehab for this, there'd be a period of time where, depending on the severity again of the sprain, where for some individuals they have to put it in a boot if it's a significant, like a grade 3 sprain for example. There'd be a period of time in which you want to do some icing, compression, as well as active pain-free mobility. So what ends up happening in the ankle is because of this swelling, it sort of pools into the ankle foot region and it limits mobility. And so we want to be, as much as possible, non-weight bearing movement during those initial phases. Now, once an individual can essentially weight bear pain-free, the most important thing to work on is balancing and proprioception. This is what I was referring to before in terms of the most important exercise for this condition. Now the reason for this is proprioception, essentially what that is, it's our ability to know where our body is in space. So the way that you actually work on that is by balancing with our eyes closed. So you take away all your visual cues, and now all you're relying on essentially is again that kinesthetic sense, or that ability to know where the body is. And so that actually gets influenced and affected when we sprain our ankles. So for a lot of individuals that I see in the clinic, they'll talk about having multiple ankle sprains on one particular area, and I'll often ask them, okay, well, did you initially do any balancing or proprioception work on that when you did your first injury? And inevitably the answer is no. And so what ends up happening then is, because of this proprioception getting affected, you're going to be now more prone to further ankle sprains in the future. So it's going to be really, really important to work on balancing on uneven surfaces, balancing where you're doing some sort of dynamic movement where you're having to, again, stabilize the ankle, and also while taking away all of those visual cues, in order not only to rehab from the initial injury, but also in order to protect the individual from any future ankle sprains. Thanks again for watching, and please feel free to leave a comment below. Take care.